So what it is, and it's dominated quite a few headlines, it's about a 1968 film, Romeo and Juliet, and Paramount Pictures are being sued by two of the people. It's a very serious case about the two stars. It was about a nude scene which was shot while the two leads were basically underage. It's Olivia Hussey, was 15 at the time, and Leonard Whiting, who was 16.
You're showing what's...
This is the writ. This is the 24-page writ, which is what I would recommend all journalists start with this rather than the press release, because this will help the various bits and pieces. So they're basically the huge sums they're suing for. And what happens in America, there's been a change in the law in California, what's called AB 218, and that basically got rid of the statute of limitation on child abuse cases for a limited time. There was a window to get all these old cases. So people say, well, hang about, they're 71 and 72 now. It's a 1968 movie. Why are they coming out of the woodwork now?
I did think that. Why now? And the now is because they've got a window of opportunity.
A window of opportunity. Also, there's a catalyst for this. They're represented now by the same manager, Tony Marinozzi, and he was negotiating a deal with Casey Musgrave's representative, who's a country singer, and they wanted to use a clip from the film. And during that conversation, it transpired that Paramount have raked in millions of dollars, and these actors, they're very young at the time, barely got anything. Yeah. So they're being sued now, two aspects to it. One is $100 million for emotional and mental anguish, and the other is what's called disgorgement of economic benefit. What that basically means is to repay the ill-gotten gains. Now, they're arguing that the box office was probably about $500 million, so the claim is potentially up to $600 million.
So I was reading the press release, and they were sort of saying they were taken advantage of when they were younger. They did this film. They said there would be no nudity in this film, and then towards the end of the filming, the producer, the director said, "Oh, it's all looking a bit flat. It's not doing so well. Can we just swim along here or do whatever it was?" And then they got the film footage of them being sort of compromised.
Right. And Franco Zeffirelli, I mean, a fantastic movie. It was up for 4 Oscars. It won 2 of them. Bizarrely, cinematography, but also costume design. We'll talk about nudity, it's a bit bizarre. But it was. He basically reassured them originally, it's alleged, that they were going to be wearing flesh-coloured clothing, and then they said, well, hang about, you're going to ruin the movie if you can't do it now, we'll paint you, but the cameras will be positioned that you won't be able to see nudity. In the actual final edit, and it's a fantastic film, people will watch it, you'll see there are bare buttocks and breasts and so on and so forth. And so they're saying that this has caused emotional distress as a result of it. Basically, Zeffirelli died in 15th of June 2019, so he's not around to defend anymore. But Paramount are basically subject to this litigation. And it's not the first time. To piece this all together, you will recall that Bill Cosby, for example, he was sued under the same principle by somebody who he assaulted at the Playboy Mansion. And she was awarded $500,000 as a result of the civil case.
So, back to this Romeo and Juliet. Was it illegal then at the time for a 15 and 16-year-old to appear nude in film?
Absolutely.
So there's, and I suppose the other thing is whether or not there was a contract that was signed at the time.
Well, there would have been, and because they were underage, it would have been signed by their parents, or that's the sort of thing.
Well, presumably you can't sign a contract to break the law, presumably.
Well, that's the principle, because it's child pornography. They say that their points are, first, it's about fraud, it's about sexual abuse, and so on and so forth, which you can never consent to. But also it raises questions about other movies. I mean, Brooke Shields, for example, in Pretty Baby, it was the 1978 film. She was 12 at the time, and she portrayed an underage prostitute, and there was nudity in that. Blue Lagoon in 1980, when Brooke was again 14, there's a lot of nudity in that sort of stuff. So it raises all sorts of questions.
And I think, like you said, they were reselling the footage. I can see there, you see, because when I looked at the amounts, they were like $500 million. I thought, where do you get that figure from?
Yes.
But then if they were reselling, and I guess they'll happily settle for slightly less than $500
and this is what happens, like the
million.
Prince Andrew case. You talk about their civil cases, and this is the importance of distinguishing between the civil case and the criminal case. There is no statute of limitation on the criminal case. That carries on forever. But the civil case, they've got statute of limitation. The window was to start the writ before the 31st of December. They did that, and therefore this writ will go through.
Interesting. We'll follow the progress of this case.
I'll keep you posted.
Thank you very much.